Good morning and welcome back to World Talks. I'm Sally Jastrzębska and we're going to discuss the latest from the Middle East. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah was killed in an Israeli airstrike in Beirut, marking a significant escalation in the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. To discuss how the situation could unfold and responses by Iran and the US, I am joined here this morning by Maciej Kozłowski, former Polish ambassador to Israel. Good morning, sir. Delighted to have you with us.
Good morning.
So let me start by what Iran has done, because Iranian envoy to the UN has penned a letter and requested an emergency meeting of the Security Council. In this letter, he says, on the 27th of September of 2024, Israel perpetrated a flagrant act of terrorist aggression against residential areas in Beirut using US-supplied 1,000-pound bunker busters to assassinate Hassan Nasrallah. So my question is Israel using Western-supplied weapons to conduct strikes in Lebanon?
Well, we don't know that because all what we learn is provided by the fighting sides. So we have no, I would say, independent way to check such claims, but probably it is true. Well, if you want to penetrate very deep bunkers, you have to use a special weapons for that, and probably these weapons were produced or co-produced by US. So that's very, very probable.
Yet there's still no green light on the use of Western-supplied weapons, US-supplied weapons to Ukraine on the Russian territory, right? So, okay, so let's move on. What do you think Netanyahu is trying to achieve? Because he's been taking out leadership of organizations such as Hamas and Hezbollah one by one, now by conducting airstrikes in Lebanon. So what is his goal, and is a ground invasion in Lebanon possible?
Well, it's always possible, although not certain. Obviously, it's a great tactical success for Israel and for Netanyahu personally, because after the trauma of 7th October, which very soon we will have a year anniversary of this terrible attack, there is an evident tactical success. The leader of the most dangerous terrorist organization, which was threatening Israel for the last year with rockets, with artillery fire, which led to depopulation of the northern communities in Israel, was eliminated, to use the word now very popular in Israel, together with basically all the top echelon of the military commanders of Hezbollah, which means that this organization is much, much weaker than it was before these attacks. We have to add this attack of by pagers and so on. So tactical success is evident. Will it be a strategic success? That means, will it lead to some resolution of the conflicts in this region, is doubtful, because without the major change in politics, that means the change of the politics towards the Palestinian people by Israel, nothing fundamentally will change. Probably for the time being, the attacks by Hezbollah will not be as dangerous as they used to be, and probably Israel will be for a certain time more secure. How long this time will last, very difficult to say, because usually this organization reorganize themselves, choose new leaders, and start the same policy again.
Right. I mean, there was this meeting on Thursday, co-hosted by Saudi Arabia, the EU, Norway, on a possible two-state solution. The two-state solution is coming back, being put back on the table. But Israel was not in attendance. So do you think that these diplomatic efforts, do they make sense?
Well, as long as Israel will not decide for the major change in its policy, all the diplomatic efforts from outside, with the exception of United States, are fruitless because Israel is responsible for its security and always can say and is saying that it has to conduct policy it regards the best for the security of the citizens, and in a sense it has the right to say so, because no one else can say which weapons you can use to protect citizens. The question is of the, I would say, leadership in Israel. Is the leadership in Israel ready for some long-term policy which will lead to the, I would say, whole new geopolitical situation in the Middle East, or not, or stayed as it was staying for the last year to the policy of keeping by the armed forces situation on, I would say, brink of the war, but not at the war.
Yes, so let's turn for the moment to Israel's domestic situation, because there are still hostages out there who were not brought back home. There's still protests taking place in Israel, even last night. So the economic situation, from what I gathered, is worsening. So, I mean, what kind of support is Mr. Netanyahu and his government enjoying at the moment, and what does the Israeli public, the general public, really want at this stage?
Well, the protest against the Netanyahu government was very, very strong before this 7th October last year. There was a strong opposition against the internal policy of Netanyahu with the so-called judicial reform. That means with the policy which led Israel away from democracy as we understand it. And when the open war in Gaza started, then this demonstration sort of diminished, because the countries at war is very hard to go against its own government, although recently this demonstration was gaining strength. And I think that these events now in the north of Israel are very divisive for the Israeli opposition, because for some, especially families of the abducted Israelis, which are still in Gaza, and the people who think that their release is the most important factor which should be taken into consideration, are opposed, even in opposition, by those who said, okay, but first we have to deal with the threat which comes from Hezbollah, and therefore we cannot now demonstrate against the government, because we have to support our military, which is fighting with Hezbollah, which is a real threat, actually. And therefore, this opposition was weakened, and it is not a good sign for the future of Israel and for the future of democracy in Israel.
Right, that's definitely something that that is worrisome. But let's also take a look at the U.S. So the American response to what has happened, Joe Biden's statement that he said that this action was justified, but also we have the November elections coming up. So how is that really influencing what's going on, the American policy towards the Middle East?
Well, this election is a crucial factor because, of course, this election will be a decisive factor, not only in the Middle East, but the whole world, how the world will be looking like. I think, the most crucial elections since, I don't know, time when Roosevelt was the head of the America during the Second World War. So nothing will happen until the 5th of 11. America is in a way paralyzed in that sense that the current administration cannot do anything which will diminish chances of Democrats to win the presidential election. And one of those possible ways to weaken it would be a direct, I would say, being directly involved on what's going on in the Middle East. So for the next month and 7 days, there is some kind of do whatever you wish for Israelis, but also for Iran, also for Hezbollah. Now, Hezbollah is much weakened now. So I think that the new situation will be after the November 5th, when everybody knows which course will be taken by America. And I hope that Kamala Harris will win, and she will be more decisive in, I would say, forcing Israel to find a solution with Gaza and with northern border.
So you're saying that this will drag on until next year for sure, right? Because I mean, I wonder if the matter of what's going on in Lebanon right now is going to end up at the Security Council, then the U.S. will have to take a stance on the matter, because of course we're talking about Hezbollah people, but there are also Lebanese civilians who are suffering, right? And this is a serious matter here. So you think that the U.S. What kind of stance could the U.S. take as of now?
Well, obviously, let us not forget that Hezbollah is a terrorist organization which killed many innocent people all over the world. Let us remember the Israeli embassy in Buenos Aires. Let us remember
that's
the
right.
American,
But then you have them hiding, among the civilians, right? So
obviously, America will support this kind of activity because each country has a right to defend itself. The Hezbollah is sending rockets on Israel. The fact that Israel has a good anti-rocket defense doesn't mean that these rockets are not meant to kill civilians. So it is not, I would say, innocent people being killed by some evil power. It's a war. And in this war, killing the leader, as I say again, terrorist organization is a legitimate way of providing war. So obviously America, and I think no matter who will be future president, will keep that position. On the other hand, of course, I would say, second position should be, well, you can fight the war, but you can have the vision how the war will end and what will be the order after you win the war. And that question was not answered neither in Gaza nor is being answered in Lebanon now.
Maciej Kozłowski, former Polish ambassador to Israel, thank you, sir, for being with us this morning. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
And thank you for watching World Talks. Please stay tuned for more here on TVP World. News bulletin coming up at the top of the hour.